Alright, so we're going to add a fireplace and chimney starting right here. It's going to be up against the wall. So if you think about the depth of the fireplace, it comes away from the wall about this much, which is approximately 2 feet. So it's not going to come very far away from the wall. They tend to be centered in the room, especially in old houses. They were centered in the room because they wanted to get equal distribution of heat. Makes sense. So we're going to look at where is the midpoint of the room. It's going to be right here. And the width of it should be about like this, which is about, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet. About a quarter of the full distance. So this is half the full distance. A quarter is about like that. So we'll go with that as being the width of our chimney. Now yours will differ from mine because your vanishing point is in a different place from mine. But what we're going to do is we're going to do the bottom first. And it comes away about 2 feet. Now 2 feet isn't going to look like much considering that this distance is supposed to represent 20 and it's the smallest in the back of the room. 2 feet is not going to look like much. It's going to look like very little. But remember, these are vanishing, these are our perspective lines. So I'm going to go with that one and this one.
The one that's not there.
And as you can see, this one for me is just about vertical, while this one is slightly diagonal. The reason for that is that this one is almost exactly under the vanishing point. This one's off to the side. So they're both going to be lined up with the vanishing point. So we're going to make the rest of the bottom of the chimney by connecting straight across. Now, make sure that this line is completely parallel to the wall, parallel to the bottom of the paper, just like that. Okay? So that is the bottom of the chimney. None of this will actually ever be visible, or a lot of it will not be visible. But you need to draw it so you have your structure. Okay, now we're going to make it into a rectangular prism, and then we're going to work from there. So to make our rectangular prism, think about this. The top of a fireplace is usually about here, about 4 feet high. If the room is 8 feet high, we want to come about halfway up. So I'm going to make a little mark right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come from this point here and this point here with straight lines that go up to that height. One there. One there. And when we've got it, we connect straight across. And that represents the back of the chimney, which will be completely invisible. We'll never actually see it, but it helps us set up what the chimney looks like. Okay, now for the front of the chimney, we're going to make a vertical line from this point. It doesn't matter how tall we make it because we're going to erase it anyway. But we make this line, help set up the perspective line to represent the top. The perspective line comes from here to here. And you erase that. You've got the beginning of the front of the chimney. We're also going to do a line from here. Now what's kind of weird with mine is that it's going to overlap this other one. So you're really not even going to see it. But it's important to make a line here. And then use your vanishing point to connect from this line to this line. Mine are overlapping. Yours probably are not. So on mine, the vanishing line will be invisible. Okay? On yours, it may be coming this way, it may be coming this way, but it has to connect the front to the back. And then to finish the rectangular prism, we come across from here, straight across, like that. And we've got our rectangular prism. Now that we have the rectangular prism, we can remove all invisible aspects. This line is no longer visible. These interior lines are not visible. And it's going to end up looking a lot like just a rectangle. It's a lot of work for a very simple shape. That's all we have left. But as you can see, it is a perspective rectangle box. You can see that it's coming away from the wall. from the top, you can see a little bit of the top. All right, now a typical typical fireplace, what it has is a little top section, like a little shelf on top. This one's gonna be brick, so it's actually gonna get a little wider up here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna extend this line just slightly in both directions. Come straight up on both ends and connect both of those. And then erase everything underneath. Everything that is no longer visible gets erased. Now it really doesn't look like perspective at all. It's kind of amazing. But what we do is we make vanishing lines. Make one here. Make one here. And we connect. And now we've got the top of our fireplace. Out of the fireplace is going to come our chimney. Alright, so the chimney, I'm just thinking of a vertical rectangular prism coming out of the center here. So it's not going to be as wide or as deep as the fireplace. It's going to represent only the back section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this space in half. I'm going to draw a little line. It's very hard to do. Very hard to do freehand. So I'm going to draw a little line representing half of that distance. I'm cutting it exactly in half. From each end of this, I'm going to go direct to the ceiling. And actually, it's important to recognize that the ceiling doesn't stop here. The ceiling itself is in perspective. So you actually go past the line representing the ceiling. If you understand what I'm saying. Is this making sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're also going to go past it on this side. Now to give this thing some perspective, remember that this is exactly halfway from the back to the front. So now we need to do a perspective line from here to here. It's a tiny little line. But it's a very important line because it gives it the three-dimensionality. So that line represents the perspective. It's going to give us a little bit of the side of this chimney. We're going to come up to the top. You see at this point, it really is only going to go up to the line there. We can erase this little section right here. And we use the vanishing point to bring this back together. So you can see that little perspective line gives you a little character. And then we erase this, and we draw this little line to show the top of the chimney. There you have it. So you can see the chimney coming away from the fireplace. All right. Now the fireplace itself, we're going to come vertically out of here. And this is brick, so everything's rectangular. So in a sense, it's kind of easy. We're going to come straight up from here to about right here. And from here to exactly the same height. And we're going to come across. We're going to erase this. And then we're going to give it some depth. And the way we're going to give it depth, we're going to use the vanishing point to show that it goes inwards a little bit. We're going to come across from that little line, which should just be just slightly lower than this line because it's just slightly closer than the wall. You understand what I'm saying? This is just slightly closer than this wall. We come vertical from here. And what we've got is Fireplace.
Yay.
Now, it's made out of brick. So this is kind of a fun thing to do. What we're going to do is just going to we're going to make parallel stripes. Try to make them equal. I'm not really worried about them. They're just parallel stripes. Probably do these ones like this. And all of this is brick. Do these freehand. It's kind of nice to know some bricking patterns. So like a typical bricking pattern works like this. If this one's divided in half, this one's whole. This one's divided in half, whole. Just like that. Standard bricking pattern. This one goes like this. And then we come across here. Keep doing the same thing. I'm not actually counting. After all, this is just sort of a fast sketch. You can sort of see the bricking happening. And then they alternate. Okay, now it's important to also realize that everything inside here has to point towards the vanishing point. So you end up with these diagonal lines. As you can see, internally. And this is also brick, so then we can have and then we have these very narrow, barely visible sections of brick. They'll also be divided. Do little patterns. And then the rest of the bricking works like this. This is really just kind of a simple exercise. Just alternating. Tiny little diagonal perspective lines to show. As you can see, they actually change direction, because as you get above, they change direction. So there we have it. This is our fireplace. And that's going to be it for now. So thank you very much.